You know what's scary about Temu? It's not the weird stuff, it's the normal stuff. The, oh, this is a steal stuff you can add to cart in 10 seconds and then bring into your house like it's harmless. Because some of the deadliest items you can buy online don't look dangerous. They look like a bargain, a life hack, a cute gadget that everyone's getting. And the risk isn't always obvious until the exact moment it matters, when something overheats, snaps, shocks, burns, or fails under pressure. So today we're counting down the 5 deadliest Temu items you can actually buy. The kinds of products people order casually, use casually, and then regret in a very not casual way. For each one, I'll show you how it becomes dangerous, the red flags to spot before you click buy, and the one simple rule that keeps a cheap win from turning into an expensive emergency. And trust me, number 1 is the kind of thing people buy for safety. Number 5, the too cheap to be true power bank. A pocket-sized fire starter. This is the one that sneaks into your life the fastest because it feels so harmless. A power bank is basically a modern comfort object. It's safety. It's, I'll never be stranded. It's the thing you throw in your bag before a trip, keep on your bed while you scroll, or plug in overnight because your phone is at 12% and you don't feel like moving your whole body to the wall socket like it's 1897. And Temu is packed with them. Tiny ones, huge ones, fast charging, rootwork, super capacity, solar, ultra slim, military grade, and my personal favorite, the ones that promise to power your entire life for the price of a sandwich. Here's the problem. A power bank isn't just a battery, it's a lithium battery, plus a controller, wiring, and protection systems that are supposed to stop the battery from doing the one thing lithium is famous for when it's stressed, damaged, or cheaply built, overheating violently. Most of the time, nothing dramatic happens. That's why people trust them. You charge it, you use it, you go on with your day, it becomes background noise until the day it isn't. Because the failure mode isn't, it stops working. The failure mode can be heat that builds quietly while you're distracted. The device warms up a little. You ignore it because electronics get warm sometimes. You toss it on a bed, a couch, a pile of clothes, under a pillow, soft surfaces that trap heat, and you keep charging, and heat is the enemy. When lithium cells get too hot, or when they're poorly protected, they can enter something called thermal runaway, which is a scary phrase for a simple reality. The battery starts heating itself faster than it can cool down. Once that loop starts, the device can swell, vent smoke, spit sparks, or ignite. And if it happens near fabric, congratulations, your convenience gadget is now teaching your bedroom about fire. The worst part is how normal the lead up can look. No warning label, screaming at you. No dramatic beep. Sometimes it's just warm device, weird smell, slight swelling, or the cable getting hot. And most people don't know those are emergency signals because we've been trained to treat cheap electronics as disposable, not dangerous. And Temu-style listings make it harder because you can't judge safety from photos. A product can look sleek and still have questionable cells, weak protection circuits, and fake-looking claims that nobody is actually enforcing in your living room at 2 a.m. So here's the rule that keeps this from becoming a headline. Don't gamble on lithium. If you're buying anything battery heavy, power banks, fast chargers, e-bike batteries, rechargeable anything, get it from a reputable brand and look for real safety certifications from recognized testing labs. And once you own it, don't charge it on your bed, don't charge it under a pillow, and don't leave it cooking overnight beside your face. If it ever swells, gets unusually hot, smells odd, or starts acting glitchy, retire it immediately. That's not drama. That's you catching the story before it turns into one. And if a battery fire scares you, good, because the next item isn't about what's stored inside a device, it's about what happens when you wear the danger. Number 4, cute jewelry that can turn your skin green and your body into the filter. This one is dangerous because it shows up as a harmless little treat. A ring that looks like it came from a boutique. A necklace that makes your outfit feel finished. Earrings that scream main character for the price of a soft drink. You click, it arrives, you put it on immediately because it's jewelry. It's not a chainsaw. It's not a chemical. It's just something pretty. And then your skin starts reacting. At first, it's small, a faint itch under the chain, a little redness around an earring post, a weird dry patch where the ring sits. And you do what everyone does. You ignore it. You tell yourself, it's nothing. You wore it too long. You showered with it. You're just sensitive. But cheap jewelry has a nasty habit of being cheap in the exact place that matters, the metal. When jewelry isn't made to proper standards, it can contain higher amounts of irritating metals like nickel and sometimes even heavy metals that have no business being on your skin all day. And skin isn't a brick wall, it's a living barrier. When you keep something against your skin for hours, especially with sweat, heat, and friction, you're basically marinating that area in whatever the metal releases. That's why the classic green skin stain isn't the real issue, it's just the visible part. The real issue is allergic contact dermatitis, a fancy phrase for your immune system decides this metal is an enemy. And once that allergy develops, it can stick. People end up unable to wear normal jewelry anymore. They get chronic rashes, swelling, flaking, even blistering. Ears can get infected, skin can crack and bleed. And the itching gets so relentless it becomes a sleep problem, a confidence problem, a why is this ruining my week problem. Now here's where it gets deadly adjacent in a way most people don't expect. Not everyone's reaction stays on the surface. Some metals can be absorbed in tiny amounts over time, especially if the coating wears off and the base metal sits directly on skin. Most people won't have dramatic poisoning from a cheap ring, but the reason regulators care about heavy metals in consumer products is because chronic exposure isn't a one-time oops. It's a slow drip. And children are the biggest risk here because they're smaller. Their bodies are still developing, and they do what kids do. They touch everything and then put their hands in their mouths. Plus, a lot of these cute items aren't just jewelry. They're jewelry with extras, cheap plating, glues, paints, dyes, and coatings that can break down with sweat, perfume, lotion, and heat. So you're not just wearing metal. You're wearing a chemical cocktail right where your pores and sweat glands live. And here's the twist. People keep wearing it because it's cheap. They think, it's fine, it was only $5, but your skin doesn't care what you paid. So the survival rule is simple. Don't treat unknown metals like harmless fashion. If a listing is vague about materials, assume it's a mystery blend. If jewelry makes you itch, burn, or swell, stop wearing it immediately and don't push through to break it in. Look for clearly stated materials like surgical-grade stainless steel, titanium, sterling silver, or reputable gold plating. And for kids, be even stricter. Their bodies don't get a vote in what you expose them to. Because number 4 teaches a brutal lesson. The cheapest little upgrade can become an expensive health problem, and the next one is worse in a different way. Because it's not about slow irritation. It's about one normal use and one sudden failure. Number 3, the safety item that can fail at the only moment it matters. Ultra cheap car seats and boosters. This one hits different because it doesn't feel like a risky purchase. It feels like you're doing the responsible thing. You're not buying something silly, you're buying a safety item, a car seat, a booster, a harness, something that's supposed to protect a child on the worst day of your life. And that's exactly why it's deadly when it's bought like a bargain gadget. Because a car seat isn't a normal product, it's a piece of crash equipment. It's engineered to handle forces your brain doesn't even like imagining. The shell, the foam, the harness, the stitching, the buckles, every part is designed to behave a certain way in a violent split-second event. The difference between it held and it didn't is not comfort, it's outcomes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. With ultra-cheap online listings, you're not always buying engineering. Sometimes you're buying a shape that resembles safety. The danger isn't just it might be lower quality. The danger is that you have no reliable way to know what standards it was designed for, what testing it actually passed, or what corners were cut to hit that price. And corners in this category aren't cosmetic, they're structural. So imagine the real-world scenario. You install it, it looks fine. Your child fits, the straps click, it feels secure. You drive for months thinking, great purchase, saved money, everyone's safe. and most days nothing happens, which is exactly how false confidence gets built. Then one day someone runs a light, or traffic stops fast, or you get hit from the side. It's chaos, noise, and physics. In that instant, the seat has to do its job perfectly. The harness can't stretch too much, the buckle can't pop, the anchor points can't tear, the plastic can't crack like cheap packaging, the stitching can't give up, the foam can't be decorative, the geometry has to keep a body in place while everything else tries to throw it forward. And if any part of that system fails, it fails when there's no redo. That's why this is one of the most dangerous cheap win categories on the internet, because you don't find out the truth during unboxing. You find out during impact. And that's a brutal way to learn you bought a product that was never built for the promise it was selling. Even outside of crashes, there's another quiet problem. Bad design can make misuse more likely. Straps that twist easily, guides that don't hold, clips that slide, labels that are confusing. People think they're buckling correctly when they're not, because the product doesn't help them do it right. So here's the survival rule. Don't bargain hunt for crash protection. Buy car seats and boosters from established brands with clear, verifiable compliance for your country, from retailers you trust. Register the seat so you get recall notices. Be allergic to vague listings, suspicious certified badges with no details, and prices that feel impossible. If it's protecting a life, seems fine is not a standard. And now we shift from a danger you might not see until the worst moment to a danger that can hit on a completely normal day, because the next item doesn't pretend to be safety. It pretends to be harmless. Number 2, tiny magnet sets and magnetic toys. The one purchase that can turn into an ER sprint. Here's the problem with Temu-style browsing. You're not shopping, you're scrolling. And when you're scrolling, your brain isn't doing safety math, it's doing dopamine math. That's cute, that's clever, that's cheap. Add to cart, which is how people end up buying one of the most deceptively dangerous products you can bring into a home. Small, powerful magnets. They're sold as stress toys, desk gadgets, magnetic beads, fidget sets. Sometimes they're marketed for kids, sometimes for adults. Sometimes they're just presented as this satisfying little miracle that clicks together and makes your hands feel busy while your brain calms down. And yeah, they're fun, right up until someone swallows one. Because one magnet is usually just a keep an eye on them situation. 2 or more is where things get terrifying. If multiple magnets are swallowed at different times, they can end up in different parts of the digestive system and pull toward each other through tissue. They don't need to be swallowed in a handful. A kid can swallow one today, another tomorrow, and nobody connects it because kids don't exactly file incident reports. Even adults accidentally swallow them sometimes. Magnets on piercings, magnetic jewelry, little bead sets that end up near the mouth during fidgeting. And when those magnets clamp together inside the body, they can pinch and trap tissue in a way that becomes a medical emergency fast. This is why doctors and safety agencies treat high-powered small magnets like a serious hazard, because it's not just choking you're worried about, it's internal damage that doesn't look dramatic at the beginning. That's what makes this so brutal. The early signs can look like nothing. A kid complains that their stomach hurts, they're cranky, they feel nauseous, they don't want to eat. A parent thinks it's a stomach bug, gas, something they ate. They try to wait it out because most of the time that's the right move. But in the magnet scenario, waiting is exactly what you don't want to do. And the reason this becomes a deadliest item conversation is simple. These magnets are small enough to lose, easy to scatter, and irresistible to curious kids. They roll under couches, they get stuck to table legs, they hide in carpet, they cling to other metal objects so you don't even realize they're missing. A set of 50 becomes 48 and you'll never know which 2 disappeared. And because they're cheap, people treat them like disposable toys instead of dangerous equipment. They leave them on coffee tables, in desk drawers, on bedside tables, in places where a toddler's entire job description is, put it in my mouth and see what happens. So here's the rule that matters. If you have children in the home, or even just kids who visit, don't buy small, high-powered magnets. If you already have them, don't store them like normal toys. Treat them like you treat medication, locked away, supervised use only, and never where a child can quietly access them. And if you ever suspect magnets were swallowed, don't play detective for 2 days hoping it's fine. That's an act now situation. Because number 2 isn't scary because it's exotic. It's scary because it's tiny, it's trendy, and the first time it becomes real is usually when it's already urgent. And number one is worse in a more personal way, because it's the kind of Temu purchase people make to improve their health, and it can hurt you while you're doing something completely normal. Number one, health electronics. You strap to your body cheap heated pads and heating wraps. This is number one because it doesn't feel like a risky purchase. It feels like self-care. A heated pad for back pain, a heating belt for cramps, a therapy wrap for your neck or shoulder. You're not trying to be reckless. You're trying to feel better. You're trying to get through work, sleep, life. And when you see one online for a price that feels like a loophole, you think, why not? Heat is heat. But heat isn't just heat when it's pressed against your body for a long time. Cheap heating devices are dangerous for the same reason space heaters are dangerous. Concentrated heat plus weak safeguards, except this time the target isn't your curtains. It's your skin. Here's how it goes wrong in real life. You put it on and it feels great. Relief, instantly. You turn it up a little because the higher setting works better. You keep it on while you scroll, while you watch something, while you drift off, and because it's not a sharp pain, you don't register the danger. It's just warmth, comfortable warmth until it crosses the line. If a heating pad overheats, or if its thermostat is inaccurate, or if the wiring is cheap and inconsistent, it can create hot spots, small areas that get much hotter than the rest. And because your nerve endings can get used to heat, especially if you're tired or distracted, you might not feel how intense it's getting until damage is already happening. That's how you end up with burns that look impossible. Not a dramatic, open flame burn, the slow kind, the kind you discover when you peel the pad off and there's a red patch that won't go away, or blistering, or a weird pattern on the skin that matches the heating coils like your body got stamped. It gets worse for certain people. If you have reduced sensation from diabetes, nerve issues, injury, alcohol, sleep meds, or just being deeply asleep, your ability to detect overheating drops, which means you can take damage without the normal ouch signal that makes you stop. Kids and older adults can be more vulnerable too for different reasons. Thinner or more sensitive skin, lower awareness, slower reaction time, and burns aren't the only risk. Cheap electrical heating wraps can also have wiring faults that lead to shocks, especially if used near moisture, sweat, damp clothes, humid rooms, or someone using it on a bed after a shower. Even if the shock isn't lethal, it can cause falls, panic injuries, and in rare scenarios, trigger serious events in someone with underlying heart issues. Plus, people tend to use these things in the most dangerous way possible. Unattended, overnight, on a bed, against skin, under a blanket that traps heat even more. So the survival rule is brutally simple. Never treat a bargain heating pad like a harmless blanket. Buy from reputable brands with clear safety certifications. Use it on a timer, on a lower setting, and never while sleeping. Don't fold it, bunch it, or sit on it. That creates hot spots. And if it ever feels uneven, smells odd, flickers, or the cord warms up, it's not quirky, it's done. Because number one isn't about a product failing once in 1,000 uses, it's about a product that people use when they're vulnerable, in pain, tired, alone, and the exact moment it fails is the moment you're least likely to notice. That's what makes it deadly. So yeah, Temu can feel like a cheat code until the wrong item turns into a problem you can't return. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this: don't bargain hunt on products that involve heat, electricity, impact, or kids. That's where cheap stops being a price and starts being a risk. Tell me in the comments which item surprised you most and which one you've actually seen in the wild. If you want more videos like this, subscribe and send this to the friend who treats their cart like a personality trait. See you next time.